Dawn breaks over Chicago, the city's heartbeat pulsing through the quiet streets. But inside a federal courtroom, a storm is brewing. Frank Sullivan, a retired firefighter with a chest full of medals and a past forged in flames, steps into the witness stand, his old dress uniform a proud nod to the Firefighter Tribute etched in stone. He's here to testify in a simple vandalism case, but when a razor-sharp judge with a grudge hurls insults, and then a book that draws blood, the room erupts. What happens when a man of honor faces a gavel gone rogue? Stick around because this firefighter tribute is about to become a battle for justice you won't forget. Welcome to the Firefighter Tribute channel. Before we dive deeper into this story, we'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Where are you tuning in from? Share your thoughts or a story about the firefighters who've touched your life. If these stories resonate with you, hit that subscribe button to support the channel and join us in celebrating the inspiring tales of firefighters everywhere. It's a chilly morning in Chicago, Illinois, the kind of morning where the air bites at your knuckles and the first light of dawn paints the city in soft gold. The old fire station on the edge of town stands quiet, its red brick walls worn, but proud like a soldier who's seen too many battles but still holds the line. Inside, the smell of old smoke and polished wood lingers a reminder of decades of service. The fire trucks gleam under fluorescent lights, their chrome catching the glow like mirrors. On the walls, black and white photos of firefighters from the 60s and 70s stare down their eyes full of grit and purpose. This is Station 19, a place where history lives, where every dent in the floor tells a story of men and women who ran toward danger when everyone else ran away. At the center of it all is Frank Sullivan, 62 years old, a retired lieutenant of the Chicago Fire Department. Frank's a lean man, wiry from years of hauling hoses and climbing ladders, his silver hair cropped close, his hands calloused but steady. There's a faint burn scar on his left forearm, a jagged line from a warehouse fire in '89, the kind of mark you earn when you carry a kid out of a burning building. He's in the station this morning, not because he has to be, but because he can't stay away. Frank's polishing a fire truck's bumper, his movement slow and deliberate, the rag in his hand moving in circles like a prayer. His old dress uniform hangs nearby, dark blue with faded red trim, the badge on the chest glinting faintly. It's the same uniform he wore when he led his team through the '95 chemical plant explosion, the one that earned him the National Firefighters Medal of Honor. Most days he's here to tinker, to tell stories to the young firefighters, to keep the past alive. But today he's got somewhere else to be. Frank checks his pocket watch, a scratched-up heirloom from his father, a World War II vet, who taught him that duty isn't just a word, it's a way of life. The watch reads 7:45 a.m. He's due in federal court by 9:00, called as a witness in a vandalism case. Some kids spray-painted the firefighters' memorial downtown, a bronze statue honoring the men and women who died in that '95 blaze. Frank was walking nearby when he saw it happen, heard the rattle of spray cans, saw the red paint dripping like blood over the names etched in stone. He called it in, gave a statement, and figured that was that. Today's just a formality, confirm the facts, then head back to the station. He pulls on his uniform jacket, adjusts the collar, and sets his old fireman's helmet on his head. The helmet's scuffed the leather worn, but to Frank it's as sacred as a soldier's colors. He glances at the station's motto on the wall, "Honor First," and heads out into the cold. Let's take a step back, though, to understand who Frank Sullivan is, because a man like him doesn't just walk into a story. He was born in a small Illinois town, the kind of place where Friday nights meant high school football, and the diner stayed open late for the after-game crowd. His dad was an electrician, hands always stained with grease, a quiet man who'd seen Normandy and never quite left it behind. His mom was a school teacher, filling Frank's head with stories of heroes, Real ones, not the kind in comic books. When Frank was 8, the Great Chicago Fire of 1871 was still a legend in every schoolroom, but it was a smaller fire in 71 one that gutted a neighbor's house that set his path. He saw the firefighters work, saw the way they moved like they were born for it, and knew that's what he'd do. At 18, he joined the Chicago Fire Department, starting as a rookie hauling hoses and learning to breathe through smoke. By 25, Frank was a rising star leading his first team into a burning apartment block in 85. He pulled a family of 4 out of that inferno, earning the Chicago Medal of Courage. 10 years later, he was a lieutenant commanding a team during the chemical plant explosion that shook the city. That day, with flames licking the sky and toxic fumes choking the air, Frank led his crew in saving 12 workers. He took a hit himself, shrapnel from an exploding tank, left that scar on his arm, but he got everyone out. The National Medal of Honor followed, pinned to his chest by the mayor himself, but Frank never wore it for show. To him, it was a reminder of the ones he couldn't save, like his old partner Tommy Doyle, who didn't make it out of that plant. Frank still carries Tommy's old badge in his pocket, a weight he never lets go. There's more to Frank than firefighting, though. He's no one-trick pony. After the 95 fire, he started taking night classes, earning a law degree with a focus on military justice. It wasn't just a whim. Frank had seen too many cases where first responders got railroaded in court, blamed for things beyond their control. He worked as a paralegal for the police department's legal team for 5 years, keeping his legal mind sharp. He could have been a lawyer, maybe even a judge, but the fire station was his home. Even after retiring at 55, he stayed close, mentoring the next generation, polishing trucks and keeping the stories alive. Frank's the kind of man who stays calm when the world's burning down, who cracks a dry joke to ease the tension, but never lets go of what matters. Today, he's about to need every ounce of that calm. The federal courthouse in downtown Chicago is a world away from the fire station. It's all marble floors and oak-paneled walls, with portraits of stern judges glaring down like they're judging your soul. The courtroom's buzzing when Frank walks in, lawyers shuffling papers, clerks whispering, spectators cramming the pews. There's a group of older men in the back, gray-haired guys with Firefighters Association pins and VFW caps here to see justice done for their memorial. Frank's uniform draws eyes. The dark blue coat, the red trim, the helmet tucked under his arm. It's not your everyday courtroom attire. He stands at ease like he's waiting for roll call, his face a mask of quiet resolve. He checks his watch, 8:55 a.m. Plenty of time to get this done and back to the station. The clerk calls out, "All rise for the Honorable Judge Victor Grayson." The side door swings open and in strides Grayson, 65, with salt and pepper hair and wire-rimmed glasses that catch the light. He's got the kind of presence that fills a room sharp as a blade and twice as cold. 30 years on the bench have made him a legend in Chicago's legal circles, but not the good kind. Grayson's brilliant, no question, but he's brutal, the kind of judge who chews up lawyers for sport and doesn't suffer fools or anyone really. His dad was a factory worker in Detroit, and Grayson clawed his way to Yale Law with nothing but brains and ambition. Somewhere along the way, that ambition turned sour, and now he rules his courtroom like a king, his gavel the scepter. As he takes his seat, his eyes lock onto Frank, and you can see the gears turning. That uniform, it's like a spark to kindling. The vandalism case kicks off routine at first. The prosecutor, Sarah Coleman, a sharp woman in her 40s with a no-nonsense air, lays out the charges: 3 kids caught defacing the firefighters' memorial with spray paint. Frank's the third witness called to confirm what he saw that night. Sarah starts with the basics. "Lieutenant Sullivan, can you describe what you witnessed on the evening of March 12, 2025? Frank's voice is steady, like he's reporting to a chief. I was walking near the memorial around 9 p.m. I heard laughter, then the sound of spray cans. I saw three individuals, two males and one female, all in their late teens, spraying red paint on the statue. I noted their descriptions: black hoodie, red cap, denim jacket, and called 911. Sarah nods, satisfied. Clear, concise, just the facts. But Grayson's not listening. He's staring at Frank, his lips curling into a smirk. Halfway through Sarah's questions, Grayson cuts in. "Lieutenant Sullivan, is it?" His voice is smooth, but there's a bite underneath, like a dog growling low. Frank nods. "Yes, Your Honor." Grayson leans forward, his glasses glinting. "Tell me, Lieutenant, is this a courtroom or a costume party?" A ripple of laughter runs through the spectators, but it's uneasy. Frank doesn't flinch. "I'm here as a witness, Your Honor. My uniform is standard for formal duties, out of respect for the fallen firefighters we honor at the memorial." Grayson's smirk widens. "Respect, huh? Looks more like a thrift store reject to me. That helmet, that coat, do you always dress like you're auditioning for a history documentary? Or are we just lucky today?" The laughter grows, but it's nervous now. Sarah shifts in her seat, glancing at Frank. "Your Honor, if I may continue," Grayson waves her off. "In a minute, Counselor. I'm curious about our firefighter here." He turns back to Frank. "What exactly do you do, Lieutenant? Polish trucks all day and pose for pictures?" Frank keeps his eyes forward, his voice even. "I'm retired, Your Honor, but I served 35 years with the Chicago Fire Department, responding to fires, rescues, and emergencies. I now volunteer at Station 19, maintaining equipment and training new firefighters. The memorial I witnessed being vandalized honors those who gave their lives in service." Grayson chuckles, but it's cold. "Service, huh? Sounds like a fancy way of saying you play dress up while real firefighters are out there risking their necks." The room tenses. The firefighters in the gallery, gray-haired men with weathered faces, exchange looks. One, Ed Kowalski, 75, grips his cane tighter, his knuckles white. Sarah tries again. "Your Honor, Lieutenant Sullivan's testimony is critical to." Grayson snaps. "Sit down, Coleman. I'm running this show." He's on a roll now, his voice rising. "You know, Lieutenant, I've seen a lot of people come through this courtroom. Cops, doctors, even senators. But you're the first I've seen show up looking like you're headed to a parade. That uniform, those medals, are you here to testify or to sell tickets to a museum?" The crowd murmurs, some laughing, others shifting uncomfortably. Frank stands at attention, his face calm. "Your Honor, the firefighter's uniform represents the sacrifices of those who served before me. It's not about show, it's about duty." Grayson's eyes flash. "Duty? You think prancing around in that outdated getup is duty? This is a court of law, Sullivan, not a fireman's ball. I find your outfit distracting to the serious business of justice." Sarah stands. "Your Honor, I object to this line of questioning. It's irrelevant to." Grayson cuts her off. Overruled. "Sit." He leans forward, glaring at Frank. "Tell me, Lieutenant, does your training include anything useful, or is it all just polishing helmets and climbing ladders?" The insult lands like a punch. Ed Kowalski half stands, his face red, before another firefighter pulls him down. Frank doesn't waver. "My training includes fire suppression, emergency medical response, hazardous materials handling, and leadership under pressure, Your Honor. I also hold a law degree in military justice and served as a paralegal for the police department's legal team." Grayson laughs, sharp and mocking. "Military justice. So you're a lawyer now? What's next, quoting the Constitution at me?" The crowd's laughter is thinner now, more nervous. Frank's voice stays steady. "I'm not a lawyer in this courtroom. Your Honor, I'm a witness here to tell the truth." Grayson's jaw tightens. He's not used to being answered like this. "The truth, huh? The truth is, you're a glorified janitor in a fancy outfit. Those medals on your chest, participation trophies for showing up. The room goes quiet. Frank's medals, the Chicago Medal of Courage, the National Firefighters Medal of Honor gleam under the courtroom lights. He speaks, his voice low but clear. The Medal of Courage was for pulling a family from a burning building in '85, Your Honor. The National Medal was for leading my team through the '95 chemical plant explosion, saving 12 lives. I took shrapnel that day, but we got everyone out. The courtroom holds its breath. Grayson's face flushes, but he doubles down. Spare me the hero story, Sullivan. Men who need to dress up like toy firefighters clearly miss something in their training, like how to think for themselves. He points at Frank's helmet. And that ridiculous hat, take it off. It's disrespectful to my courtroom. Frank doesn't move. Your Honor, the helmet is part of the firefighter's dress uniform worn to honor the fallen. I'm scheduled to attend a memorial event after this hearing. Grayson's voice rises sharp enough to cut glass. In my courtroom, I am the authority. Take it off or I'll have you in contempt. Sarah leaps up. Your Honor, this is out of line. Lieutenant Sullivan is complying with Grayson slams his gavel. One more word, Coleman, and you're out. He glares at Frank. You think you're above my authority because you play firefighter. Tell me, Sullivan, is it hard to think after years of just following orders? The firefighters in the gallery are on edge now, their faces hard. Frank's eyes meet Grayson's, unflinching. The fire service trains us to follow lawful orders. Your Honor, but also to think critically under pressure. Firefighters are selected for their ability to act decisively, often with lives on the line. We serve the living while honoring the fallen. Grayson's laugh is bitter. Honor. You're a walking photo op, Sullivan a relic. Those firefighters you honor don't care about your little parade. That's when it happens. Grayson's control snaps. He grabs a heavy law book from his bench, his knuckles white, and hurls it at Frank. The courtroom gasps as the book spins through the air. Frank's instincts kick in. He steps aside, quick as a cat, but the book sails past him and strikes Margaret O'Connell, a 70-year-old retired fire department nurse, sitting in the front row. Maggie, as everyone calls her, cries out and slumps, blood trickling from a gash on her forehead. The room freezes. Frank's at Maggie's side in an instant, kneeling, his hands steady as he checks her pulse. She's conscious but dazed. Stay with me, Maggie, he says softly, pressing his handkerchief to her wound. Someone call a medic. A clerk scrambles for a phone. Frank stands, his face a mask of controlled fury, and turns to Grayson. Your Honor, that was assault on a civilian in a federal courtroom, a violation of Title 18 United States Code, Section 111. It's also a breach of judicial conduct, Rule 2.88, requiring decorum in court proceedings. The crowd's buzzing now whispers like static. Grayson's face drains of color, his mouth half open. Frank continues, his tone measured but unrelenting. Before I retired, I earned a law degree specializing in military justice. I served as a paralegal for the police department's legal team, maintaining my legal credentials. I recognize your conduct as misconduct the moment you began targeting my service. Sarah's jaw drops. The firefighters in the gallery nod, their eyes fierce. From the back of the room, a man stands, his voice cutting through the chaos. Colonel James Larson, United States Army, retired. I've been observing these proceedings, and I corroborate Lieutenant Sullivan's account. Larson, 68, in full dress, blues his chest heavy with ribbons, steps forward. His presence is like a thunderclap. Your Honor, I witnessed your unprovoked assault on a civilian and your verbal abuse of a decorated firefighter. This is a breach of Title 18 and judicial conduct standards. I'm reporting this to the Judicial Conduct Board immediately. The court clerk, Emma Torres, 28, wide-eyed but focused, speaks up. Your Honor, the transcript is complete. Every word, including the assault, is documented. Grayson sputters, his voice cracking. This is absurd. I'm a federal judge. You can't threaten me. Larson cuts him off. Your position makes this worse, not better. The judiciary holds you to a higher standard because of your power. Assaulting a civilian, disparaging a firefighter service, that's not a lapse. That's a disgrace. The firefighters in the gallery stand one by one, their eyes on Frank. Ed Kowalski speaks, his voice rough with age. I'm Ed Kowalski, Chicago Fire Department, retired. I was with Frank in 1905. I saw the whole thing today, and I'll testify to his account. Another man chimes in. Joe Martinez, fire station, 1288 to 03. Me too. The room's electric, now the tide turning. The courtroom doors swing open and a bailiff enters with a woman in judicial robes. Judge Helen Whitaker, Chief Judge of the District. I was in the building for a conference and got an urgent alert. What's happening here? Larson steps forward. Chief Judge Whitaker, Judge Grayson, verbally abused Lieutenant Sullivan, a decorated firefighter, and threw a book that struck a civilian, Margaret O'Connell, causing injury. The transcript confirms it. Whitaker's eyes narrow as she takes Emma's transcript, scanning it quickly. Her expression hardens. Judge Grayson, you're relieved of duties pending a full investigation. Security escort him to my chambers. Grayson's voice is weak, desperate. Helen, this is a misunderstanding. I've served 30 years. Whitaker's tone is ice. Your service doesn't excuse assaulting a civilian or disgracing this court. The transcript speaks for itself. Security moves in and Grayson, deflated, shuffles out his robe, trailing like a fallen flag. Whitaker turns to Frank. Lieutenant Sullivan, on behalf of the judiciary, I apologize for this treatment. Your service deserves respect, not ridicule. Frank inclines his head. Thank you, Your Honor. I believe Judge Grayson's actions aren't representative of this court. Whitaker nods. Your statement will be taken later today. This court is adjourned. Frank checks his watch, 9:45 a.m. He's due at a memorial event at the Firefighters Memorial in 30 minutes. He adjusts his helmet, the leather creaking softly, and walks out the firefighters in the gallery, nodding respectfully as he passes. Ed and Joe offer stiff salutes, which he returns. Outside, the Chicago air is crisp, the skyline sharp against the sky. Frank heads to the memorial, his stride steady, his duty unshaken. An hour later, he's at the memorial, standing before the bronze statue, now cleaned of paint, but bearing faint scars. A small crowd gathers, firefighters' families, a few kids with wide eyes. Frank's uniform is the same, but the weight of the mourning hangs on him. He touches Tommy's badge in his pocket and murmurs, "We remember you." The ceremony is quiet, somber, the way it should be. Back at the station, the young firefighters crowd around, asking about the court. Frank just smiles, picks up his polishing rag, and says, "Let's get this truck shining." Duty doesn't stop. Emma's transcript hits the Judicial Conduct Board that afternoon. Reporters dig into Grayson's past, finding a pattern of bullying witnesses, of wielding his gavel like a club. His career hangs by a thread. The vandalism case gets a new judge, and the defendants, shaken by the chaos, plead guilty. At the Pentagon, Larson files a commendation for Frank, noting his dignity under fire. Maggie O'Connell, bandaged but recovering, sends Frank a note. "Thanks for standing tall, Lieutenant. You did us proud." Frank Sullivan didn't just defend his honor that day in court. He stood for every firefighter who ever carried a hose, every name etched in stone, every life saved in the heat of the fire. His story isn't just about one man's courage. It's a reminder that true strength lies in holding fast to what's right, even when the world tries to tear it down. Behind that old uniform, mocked by a judge who forgot the meaning of justice, was a heart forged in service. a mind sharpened by principle, and a soul that never wavered. So what do you stand for? When the gavel falls, when the insults fly, what keeps you steady? Frank's story asks us to look deeper, to honor the quiet heroes among us, the ones who run toward danger, who carry the weight of the fallen, who show us that justice isn't just a word, but a promise. Share this story. Visit a fire station, thank a firefighter, or stand before a memorial and feel the weight of their sacrifice. And when you face a moment that tests your heart, remember Frank Sullivan, a man who showed us that honor burns brighter than any fire.